Anyone who has done something big in their lives had enemies. You think back to our historical figures or people we still talk about today, they had an enemy. Napoleon, I just watched the movie, had many enemies for decades. You think about the founding fathers who went up against the greatest nation at the time that was Great Britain. They had an enemy. Martin Luther King Jr. had enemies. Margaret Thatcher, she had enemies. Tom Brady, Mike Tyson, they had enemies, and these enemies fueled something inside of them to pursue greatness. Today, I'm going to review with you the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, by CEO and founder of Valuetainment and Bet David Consulting, Patrick Bet David. And at the very end, I'm going to share with all of you who my enemies are. And I'm going to be honest, there's going to be some of you who are watching this video that are thinking, Taylor, I don't really know the concept of enemies. I don't even know if I have any or how to identify them. Hopefully this video provides you clarity on that, but for sure pick up a copy of the book and Patrick will thoroughly describe to you how he conceptualizes the idea of enemies and how you can identify yours. Then there's a second type of people and you're thinking, Taylor, I know exactly who my enemies are. Great. Now use that energy to fuel you as you pursue your vision, your mission, and your dreams. And in this book, it starts off with a poem. And I'm going to read you this poem because it's powerful if you listen to it. And hopefully I read it in a way that it's supposed to be read, that you conceptualize it. You have no enemies, you say. Alas, my friend, the boast is poor. He who has mingled in the fray of duty that the brave have endure must have made foes. If you have none, small is the work that you have done. You've hit no traitor on the hip. You've dashed no cup from perjured lip. You've never turned the wrong to right. You've been a coward in the fight. That's a poem by Charles Mackay. What does that mean as far as small is the work that you have done if you do not have foes? Meaning, if you don't have enemies, you really haven't done anything big with your life. Why? Because people who change the world create enemies. They have enemies of their own, and they have enemies that fueled them to pursue something that was going to be non-conventional or that was going to take courage, knowing that they were going to create foes. And so it's impossible to make a difference in the world if you don't have an enemy. It's impossible to make a difference in the world and to really impact the world if everyone loves you. I mean, even Jesus had enemies. And so knowing that if you have never created an enemy, you have been a coward in the fight. Such powerful words. And you're thinking, well, who could be my enemy? There's many different types of enemies, and Patrick actually shares 14 different types that we'll go into in this video. But just to start having you think of who your enemy might be, people that have doubted you, that's a form of an enemy. People who said you would never make it, that's a form of an enemy. I remember when I was a senior in high school, I worked at Texas Roadhouse, and there was a teacher who was also a softball coach. And he asked me, okay, what are you going to do next, Taylor? What are you going to college for? And I said, I'm going to double major in fashion merchandising and design. And he's like, what are you going to do with that? Do you actually want to be successful? Like, what are you going to do with your life if you're going into fashion? And to me, because I wasn't pursuing something more conventional, he was telling me that I was not going to be successful in life. That was a form of an enemy. Like, I'll show you no matter what I do, I will be successful. I still remember that conversation till today, because honestly, in high school, I wasn't the smartest. All my friends were in honors classes. All my friends were A students, and I wasn't. I wasn't in honors classes. I didn't get that great of grades. I wasn't that good of a student. And so when teachers and people would then shed their doubt onto me because I didn't fit within the public school system of what ought to be successful, their doubt was a form of an enemy. It gave me a chip on my shoulder and led me to be super competitive and want to be successful in life. That was a form of an enemy. I just didn't know it at the time. People who disrespected you or someone you love, that's an enemy. A parent who maybe left you, or a loved one who left you, that's a form of an enemy. Again, I haven't spoken to my father in 10 years. He left me, and I think about it for so long, it did drive me. You know, sometimes the worst things that happen to you are the best things that happen to you, because I'll show you that you're gonna regret ever stepping out of my life. And so that chip on my shoulder drove me to who I am today and where I am today. And so once you identify that enemy, it's important to use that energy not to drag you down, but to fuel you and pursue you and propel you forward towards whatever it is that you want to achieve in life. And Patrick, and as he describes in the book, because the book is Choose Your Enemies Wisely, Business Planning for the Audacious Few, he talks about how to approach business planning with 12 building blocks using both emotion and logic. So like most things in life, Patrick approaches planning and business planning in a non-conventional way. And the reason it's important is because the logical aspect everyone knows. It's the goals, it's the plan, it's the how to. But you have to know the why to. That's the emotions, that's what's gonna inspire you. That's the passion that's gonna allow you to keep going and to keep pursuing the goals. So you need both. And you have to know why you're doing something before you know how to do it. And when you're a leader, people have to know why they're doing something before you tell them how to do it. And so I'm gonna share with you and go over the 12 building blocks that Patrick talks about in the book. Some I'm gonna go more in depth, and I definitely recommend you go reading the book yourself. And so the 12 building blocks, you have vision and capital, culture and team, dreams and systems, mission and plan, will and skill, and then enemy and competition. And as you can tell, each emotional aspect also has a logical aspect. And so when you think about vision, the number one thing people ask me, what's the number one thing about working for Patrick Bet-David? And I say, it's having a leader with a vision. If you're a leader, you have to have vision. There's a reason in the Bible it says without vision, people perish, because we have to know where we're going. Any great leader had a vision, and he knew not only his vision, he knew how to communicate it in a clear, concise, and convincing way that people followed him. You think about Martin Luther King. He had a vision, but not only did he have a vision, he communicated in a way that we still remember it today. I have a dream that one day, brothers and sisters from different walks of lives, from slave owners and people, and from slaves, and now I'm not saying it verbatim, but they come together and they love one another. I have a dream. I have a dream. That speech is still remembered and listened to today. Why? Because he had a vision, and his vision was his dream of people coming together, and he was able to communicate it clearly that millions of people followed him. That's a leader with a vision. So number one is a leader has to have a vision. And then you have to have dreams. I've always been a dreamer, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you have too. I remember growing up, one day I'm gonna live in Florida, one day I'm gonna live in Florida. This is 10 years ago. I would say I was gonna live in Florida. I remember I moved to Illinois, and I was talking to this guy, and I was like, I don't even know if it's worth talking to, because one day I'm gonna live in Florida. Do you wanna live in Florida? Because if you don't wanna live in Florida, what are we doing? Because I was already dreaming of the life that I wanted to live. I was always dreaming of the life that I wanted to live. And so even when you become successful or you achieve success, it's almost even more important to continue dreaming, because you have to know what's next. You have to have dreams, and you also have to be able to tap into the dreams of your people. They have dreams too. And so as a leader, it's your responsibility to sell them on the dream, to continue dreaming, but also to know their dreams. I know I was just in New York with Patrick not too long ago, again, selling us the dream, providing an experience. We were supposed to go to the New York Yankees game. It got rained out, but we still got to go to the New York Jets game, and was also honored, and it was a privilege to go to 11 Madison, a 3 Michelin star restaurant in New York that was formerly owned by Will Guidara, the author of Unreasonable Hospitality. And while we were there, Patrick was talking, and he's like, you know how I know I'm winning? And at this point, he's minority owner of the New York Yankees. He sold his company for over $250 million, billions of views on valuetainment, 9 different companies, all growing exponentially. And he's sitting there, he's like, you know how I know I'm winning? I'm still dreaming. I've never achieved this much success in my life. I'm sure some of it beyond his wildest dreams, yet he's still dreaming. It's like he's humming. That's important for leaders to know. You have to constantly be dreaming. There has to be a next. There always has to be a next. And that goes to mission. What is your mission in life? What is your business mission? I know what brought me to valuetainment, and some of you know my story. I believed in the mission before I even knew valuetainment was an organization. I thought it was just a YouTube channel, and I liked Patrick. I liked the way he spoke about America, capitalism, freedom. I was bought in before I even knew it was a company. So the moment I found out I could actually work for Patrick Bet-David and valuetainment, there was no hesitation. It was like the stars aligned, and I knew that was where I was meant to be. I'm in the car with my mom, and all of a sudden, I'm on YouTube, she's driving, there's like a 5-minute video, December of 2021. I'm shutting down the channel, and I click on it, and Patrick's like, you know what, I'm gonna shut down the content. It's Christmas time, it's the holidays, spend some time with family, but valuetainment's growing, and we're hiring. I'm like, I can go work for Patrick Bet-David and valuetainment? Like, I thought it was just a YouTube channel. It's a company? Like, wherever this man's going, whatever he's doing, I wanna be a part of it. Why? Because he had a vision. Why? I believed in the company's mission. And so literally that night, I redid my resume, applied the next day, got myself an interview with Mario, and I get into the interview and he goes, Tayler, why would you want to work for valuetainment? And without hesitation, I say, because we're gonna save America. And I believe it. I believe it to this day, that valuetainment's mission and what we stand for at Bet-David Consulting and Patrick Bet-David, we will not only save America, we will change the world. And so I was bought into the mission. So what's your mission? What's your life mission? What's the mission for your business? What are you solving for? And then when you figure out what that mission is, what's the plan? How are we gonna achieve this? And so that's mission. And with a mission, you have to have a plan. Then comes will and skill. Will is your discipline. Skill is what skills do you have to obtain? What skills do you have to improve to achieve your dreams? I know for me, 2024, thinking about the book and planning for 2024, my word is leadership. And in order to become a good leader, I need to improve my skill sets when it comes to communication, crucial conversations, EQ, human nature, driving different personalities. These are all different skill sets that I have to acquire or improve to ensure that I'm a good leader. And if I'm a good leader, then that is allowing me to pursue my vision, my dreams, my mission for life. But you have to see, what skill sets do you have to acquire? What skill sets do you have to improve to recreate yourself, to become this next version of you, to get you to that next level? Because what got you here is not going to get you there. So where do you have to improve? And then you have to have the discipline to actually improve upon it. And that leads us to enemy and competition. You already know competition, it's your competitors in the marketplace. Patrick says you have to study those individuals, but they're not gonna drive you like an enemy. So who is your enemy? Who said you'll never make it? Who left you? Who betrayed you? I'm gonna go over 14 different enemies that Patrick shared with you or shared with us in the book. And then at the end, I will share with you my enemy. So 14 different types of enemies. There's outside yourself, within yourself, and the most powerful enemy that drives winners per PBD. Let's start with outside yourself. Someone you hate. Relatives who try to hold you back. Manipulators. I can't stand manipulators. I feel manipulators in the news, people that want you to think a certain way and manipulate the society and the culture. I don't like manipulators. Gossipers. Someone to prove you wrong. Your ex-spouse or former business partner. Someone who doubts you. People who quit on you if you're a business owner. That could be a form of an enemy. People you pour your heart and soul to, you give time to, money, energy, and they still leave you. That could be a form of an enemy. Within yourself, that's a form of an enemy. Number one, scarcity mindset. I've had that. That's an enemy. Your own limiting thinking. I've also had that. That's a form of an enemy. Your ego, contentment, mediocrity. That's an enemy, especially when you achieve a level of success. People get comfortable, they get complacent. They have so much time on their hand. Idle time, that's the devil's playground. That's where he comes to creep in. That's a form of an enemy. Fear of success, that's an enemy. And the most powerful enemy that drives winners, people who are beating you because their vision and their accomplishments are greater than yours. And Patrick said that's the most powerful one, that people that are doing more than you, is it because they think bigger than you? That is a form of an enemy to drive you to think bigger, to do better, to work harder, to achieve success greater than they. Now that you know 14 different types of enemies, there are 5 unworthy enemies. 1, companies trailing you in the marketplace. 2, people you have surpassed in business or on your career path. 3, relatives who put you down because they are jealous of your success. 4, toxic people who try to pick fights with you to bring out the worst in you. And 5, small thinkers who have a victim mentality. Now, why are they unworthy enemies? Because they are beneath you. If you create an enemy out of them, you're just a bully. You want enemies that are aside from you or doing better than you, that can inspire you and fuel you to do better. They can't be beneath you. Don't create the wrong enemy. It's important that you have the right enemy that puts you in the right mindset to fuel you moving forward. And he concludes the book with a quote that I love, that I really resonate with. I love this quote, and it reminds me of the song that I love from J.Cole, 95 South. And he goes, "If I'm betting on myself, I'll completely double down." That song always puts me in the right mind space. But this quote from Dana White, "Effing bet against me. Bet against me. Tell me it's not gonna happen. Tell me I'm going to fail." I love it. I love every minute of it. Dana White, president of UFC, a world-renowned brand. And I love that quote because bet against me. I will show you. You don't think I can make it? You don't think I'll succeed? You will be damned for thinking that of me. I have a chip on my shoulder and I have it for a reason. I'm competitive, I have it for a reason. I'll show you. Bet against me. Because if I'm betting on myself, I'll completely double down, as J.Cole says. Now, who are Tayler's enemies? The number one enemy for me is one that I don't believe I'll ever get over. It'll be a lifelong enemy, and it'll happen not only in my lifetime, decade after decade after decade, and it's the powers that be that want to infringe on our God-given freedoms. Because I was talking about mission earlier, and I believe my mission is to live out God's mission, and part of that comes with overcoming the enemy, and the enemy are those who hate America. The enemy are those who hate biblical values. The enemy are those who hate freedom and capitalism, the federal government, the globalists. These are the enemies, and the enemies are real, and so is the vision. And so that form of an enemy always fires me up. I love America. I love talking about our founding principles, our values, and biblical principles. It brings something out of me, and I will pursue it for the rest of my life. That's what brought me to valuetainment. That's why Patrick inspires me so much, is because I love the idea of America, and anyone who wants to destroy it is an enemy to me. And I'm willing to give my life and continue pursuing towards overcoming that enemy forever, because the enemy is real, but so is the vision. And I do believe with a leader like Patrick and with valuetainment and our values and our principles and our mission, that we will help save America and change the world. That goes to my second enemy. My second enemy is a short-term enemy that I think I will keep this one to myself and keep it between me and God. Now, once I crush this enemy, maybe I'll consider sharing with all of you. But until then, definitely go get yourself a copy of the book. It is fantastic. The audio version, Patrick is the one who narrates it. And I don't know, there's something about some people who read their audio, and I just enjoy listening to their voice. Patrick is one of them. Jordan Peterson is another. But go get yourself a copy of a book. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. Check out my YouTube channel, Tayler DeGrande, and my newsletter, Business Breakthroughs. And I want to hear all of your enemies. If you have an enemy that you're open to sharing, comment below, DM me. Want to hear a little bit about what fuels you, what you're passionate about. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're one of the audacious few and you want to learn more about what we do in Bet David Consulting with direct mentorship with Patrick and a community of audacious entrepreneurs with shared values and principles, book a call with me or email me. Would love to learn more about you and your business. And until then, I appreciate you following the content and trusting me. And the only thing I leave you with is I hope you choose your enemies wisely. Until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.